and we will see it'll slowly start to turn from wax flakes down into liquid wax. Making candles is a side project for me. I love my primary job, but I also love crafting and I love being able to make things for people. I love all my babies. I really do like the leather. I like the old Bookstore a lot. The fresh cut wood, so things that are a little outdoorsy and have a certain woodsy feel, I like those.
Our Treat Yourself candle is probably my favorite one. It's just got a kind of a spa feel to it, and so it can be really relaxing and maybe reminisce about a nice feeling you might have had at a spa.
The candle scent brings them to an emotional space, brings them to a happier place. If they smell fresh cut grass, it smells like springtime, it smells like the year is starting fresh, there's a lot of promise. Or Treat Yourself, it smells like a luxury hotel, so they feel a little bit like they're being spoiled, like they're on a mini vacation.
Candles can transport you, and they're pretty too. And it adds a lot of ambience to a room, and I think that it can be extremely comforting.
I'd never owned a candle or anything, and then, Shawn opened this company. I was like, I'll buy a couple candles, to help a friend. And then I lit one in my classroom and I loved it. I teach a school for kids with learning differences, and some of them have really high sensitivities. They complain about the noise, they complain about the lights, but the candles, everybody unanimously enjoys.
Make sure we got a good temperature read here. So we started 3 years ago, a few months before the pandemic, really looking for a hobby that would be away from the screen, less computer time, something that was a little craftier, a little easier to get into. And then took an online course from Udemy about how to make a candle. Came to find out it was pretty easy to make a good candle. It was hard to make a great candle. So just kept trying, kind of mad scientist style, experimenting, and a little more of this, a little more of that, a little more of this scent, trying different scents to come up with what we've got today.
I was mostly an observer in the beginning. This is really Shawn's thing. I was a supportive spouse. As well as the business grew, then that's where my talents came in, because I could do the operational side without thinking. I'm kind of crafty, so I can do things like put wicks in jars and get things organized and aligned.
Shawn, he said, I'm starting a candle company. And I was like, of course you are, because you can do anything. He has an incredible mix of abilities that kind of applies to anything. And he brought a couple tester candles, and I was pretty anxious about that moment because he's a really good friend of mine, and what if they're terrible? And he uncapped them and they were amazing.
We do a lot of experimentation. We've got some that I thought would be really big sellers that appealed to me. There's a leather candle that I just love the smell of it, and it just doesn't sell for whatever reason. And then others that you think this will never sell, people buy, they come and buy your entire stock, like a blueberry muffin. You would not expect a blueberry muffin candle was gonna sell, but it does. And so we've learned to listen to the customer.
We don't spend a lot of time on smell, I feel like. We really care about how things look, we really notice sounds and stuff like that, but I don't think people think about that third dimension of scent in their spaces usually. And our nose is it's one of the scents that we can't stop.
So we trim the wick. We don't waste anything, so we use the entire buffalo. So whenever there's a little bit of wax left over from a candle, from making some, if you've got 10% or a little bit left over, we just pour it into one of those Trader Joe's little spice jars and just fill those up and fill those up and fill those up. So when the power went out a couple years ago, this was the house you wanted to be in because it smelled great, every room smelled different. Our daughter was here and I said, smell this, and does this smell like a leather? I was looking for an improved leather scent. And somebody will buy a leather scent if I just make the right one. I said, smell this, think leather. And she made a face and said, no, that's a terrible leather scent. And I said, okay. And then I smelled it again, and I had, sometimes when you smell something and you're transported to that place, And so I smelled it, and I went to one of those bookstores over on Haight Street. And I thought, you know what, this smells like an old bookstore. And I gave her the same candle and said, old bookstore, and she went, oh my God, this scent is amazing. And so we started selling it. We have a couple librarians who emailed us and said, that old bookstore candle is librarian approved. To hear them say, that smell made me think of this thing or this very positive memory. We've had a few people who like our fresh cut wood, and actually I'm getting a little choked up thinking about this, but her grandfather had passed away and he had a wood shop. And so she emailed us and said, hey, could you put like a custom label that says Grandpa's Wood Shop on there? And absolutely, we can do that. That's pretty satisfying.